Punjab University from 1998. He has a research experience of total 43 years with a total research publication of 152 and has delivered lecture in more than 155 conferences and has been coordinator DRS UGC from 2007 to 11 and supervised MPhil, MSc and PhD students and mentor to the Kothari Fellow Research Associate also. So as far as administrative experience is concerned, he has been Secretary to Vice Chancellor, Punjab University 2018 to 2019, President of Punjab Academy of Science 2018 to 21, Chairperson of Department of Botany, Punjab University, Chandigarh 2011 to 14, Dean Student Welfare 2011 to 13, Director Youth Welfare Punjab University from 2011 to 12, Dean Faculty of Science Punjab University 2009 to 2012, and some other various positions also like President of Asian Allopathy Society, People's Republic of China, President of Punjab University Teacher Association also, and coordinator of common entrance test for CET, PGCET, and mock CET test, chief coordinator of emerging areas in science and technology, chairperson of Department of Environment and Vocational Study of Punjab University from 2009 to 11. President of Punjab University Environment Society, member and president of various other prestigious societies also, and coordinator of Center for Excellence in Biomedical Science, Punjab University, Chandigarh, 2009 to 11, member of Board of Studies, Board of Finance, various academic bodies, and there are a long list of his achievement about he has been the member of various professional bodies also about the awards and achievements he received. He has been awarded with Professor M.O.P. Iyengar Endowment Lecture Award in 2020, Honorary Fellow from Punjab Academy of Sciences, Patiala in 2017, Professor Probir Chatterjee Memorial Foundation Lecture in 2015, International Birbal Sahani Birth Century Award in 2015, Fellow of Indian Botanical Science India, Fellow of Society of Plant Research, Fellow of Indian Fern Society, and various other awards and merit scholarships are also there. And he has supervised the PhD students, 25 PhD students, and carried over 7 research projects. He has been UGC nominee on SAP Advisory Committee also, and external expert of PG Board of Studies and Academic Council also. So we welcome you, sir. And there is a long list. If I read, it will take, I think, around 1 hour. So we welcome you, sir, and thankful to you for sparing time. Today we are going to talk about the national education policy that is new for us. As far as you all might know that the Union Cabinet cleared NEP proposing the sweeping changes in the school and higher education. It is a comprehensive framework to guide the development of education in the country. The Union Minister of Education, Ramesh Pokhriyal ji, has said that the NEP 2020 will help India in emerging as an education power center, and it will attract students across the world. So it is a welcome, ambitious reimagination of Indian education system into modern, progressive, and equitable one. Let's see what are the key points, challenges, and scope sir is going to discuss today. And over to you, sir. And we congratulate you for taking the charge as Pro Vice Chancellor of Eternal University. So over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam, for your very encouraging words and inviting me to deliver this webinar lecture. I think I have had the privilege already to visit your college concerning different sometime delivering a lecture or for interviews or for inspection and so on. And I found always that it's well maintained and really very fine college, which is catering to the rural population as well around it. So I compliment you for all that, which you are, because you are the leader principal, and it is under your patronage that this college is really going up every year. Well, all the participants to this webinar and Dr. Madam Principal and Dr. Rupinder, who was moderating this lecture. Good morning to you all. And I think if we look at the new education policy, which is the topic for today, there are many lectures, webinars going on, and many views of external experts and others. They are already there. But when we go through this policy, we find, yes, the things which have been really listed are quite comprehensive. And if we can really achieve those, I would say even if we achieve a part of that, will be wonderful. And it will definitely add an important, prospect to our overall education scenario in the country. And definitely it will improve upon the kind of interest which our students have in different kind of education. We earlier had a system of classification wherein, yes, we have certain merits and certain demerits. It normally always happens. But nowadays, the kind of things like CBCS and other new, modifications which have been created by UGC from time to time, of course, they are adding up to the flavor of those subjects. But definitely, this policy has much flavor to add to at various levels of school education as also the higher education. So I have listed few points for the viewers so that they can have a glimpse of those and find out what is there in this national or new education policy 2020, which has been much talked about issue of the day. Education, is very important, and education, as is said, is very important thing, because purpose of education, as is said, is to bring about freedom, love, the flowering of goodness, and the complete transformation of society. And we wish that, yes, our kids may not really secure marks by rote learning, but they should be, have a curiosity to learn, to explore the things. And when they will have that kind of, confidence, I think they can become change makers and really a responsible citizen. If you look at the historical perspective, why and how this policy might have been conceived, I think we have seen that foreign developed nations have their well-set system of education. And we find that that's a reason many of our students want to go abroad, looking into their curricula and looking into their, kind of policies which are existing for the education sector. And we also want to have those kind of skills which are there in those developed nations. And we also want to be there in the developed nation as one of the strong partners. And hence, perhaps this policy was needed since long, and it has come nearly after a span of nearly 34 years, as is said, and it was really due since long. And though it has been revised earlier as well, because it was conceived right after our freedom, but somehow there have been some merits and demerits going on. But all these have been looked into, because when the life goes on, there are changes. And that kind of evolutionary changes also compel us to have some changes in our academics, in our education, so that we can grow along with the changing circumstances. So we want to make this country a global knowledge superpower. And for that, we need to have certain changes in our education system. And we know education is is really fundamental for achieving our human potential, developing an equitable and just society, and also promoting the national development. These things have been looked into in the new policy. Education also, provides universal access to quality education and is the key to economic growth, social justice, and equality, scientific advancement, national integration, cultural preservation, and for India's continued ascent in progress and leadership on the global stage. So that is really important because a country like India should be there as one of the superpowers, and for that, this kind of changes in the policy were really required. We also know that our country boasts of having the highest youth population. And unless we really train those population, we inculcate some qualities in that population, that young population, which can take this country to a greater height. I think there need to be some changes in our policy so that those young generation comes up with a very high quality education, and we can hope they can change the future of our country into an academic superpower as well. Now, they have kind of two types, broadly two set of recommendations. One are for schools, and I think another is for higher education. But let me talk about both, because schools, we know, are important ingredient for really grooming a student for the university or for the higher education, or for that matter, for the colleges as well. And we have seen that this, because you know that human resource development department has been changed into Department of Education. Because from HRDC, it was looking as if we are using the schools as a factory to earn monetary benefits, and child is used as a commodity. To overcome that kind of understanding, and also that education mafia getting dominant, though I would discuss this thing that it is still may not be really taken over by the kind of policy we have. But most of the time we believe rather than we understand when we are in a school. So school should have been to develop a thrust of learning, nature, as also its processes. And we know there have been mushrooming of English school in various villages, especially in rural areas, whichever are coming up. Many of the times they don't have proper faculty, and they end up, even students, neither they are left to learn their mother tongue nor the English, and they end up nowhere. So that kind of mushrooming of such kind of school, I think, need to be either groomed into good schools or they should be really closed, and that is what this new policy indicates for us. Well, this photograph, a cartoon which appeared in Tribune long back, I have been showing it in many of my presentations. When a student comes to the educational institution, he has certain hopes that I am going to really get something which is very, very important for his employment, for his earnings later, and for making him a further polished personality and really growing in education. But because of these teaching shops somewhere which are there in our country where we need to have some control over, and maybe this new policy talks about them briefly, and they may, as and when this policy comes into full action, it may be really taken care of. because we are not ending up, we are rather spoiling the youth which come to our institution and ending up, not all the institute, but those which are really policing the students, and they end up nothing but a degree like a banana is, put into his hand, and he's given that degree, and but he's really failing in kind of skills which he needs for getting a job, getting employment, to be successful in life and helping the society, coming up as a really proper citizen in this country or for India. This is how this evolution, this education commissions were there from time to time. The last being in 2019, which is known as, because it was under the chairmanship of Dr. K. Kasturirangan, which is another important, very famous scientist. And similarly, earlier we know about Dr. Kothari, because Kothari's commission on education have been there for a number of years. It came around, 1966, and then it was there till late. But from time to time, the changes have been there, right from 48 to onwards, and even during the time of Mrs. Gandhi and then Shri Rajiv Gandhi, there have been modifications. Even in 1992, there was some modification, and then Subramanian Committee in 2016. And ultimately, the final report has come under the chairmanship of Kasturirangan Committee, and they have submitted the report. It was there for about a year. The teachers and different organizations commented on that, and it was a long process under Kasturirangan, and nearly all kind of panchayats, gram panchayats, blocks, urban local bodies, and many districts of the country, they were consulted, the feedback was taken, and ultimately there was a website by the government that any feedback from any person can be given on that, so that the final policy which is now before us can come out as a complete document. And so in November last year, it was there approved by Parliament Standing Committee on Human Resource Development. And though the policy, which is most of us have read, is around 60 to 65 pages, but otherwise it was around 480-page documents. It's a big document which was there, and hence we find this policy before us. Now, there are certain features due to which this policy was really imperative, and it has to be there. We find around us that number of students, they start in their nursery KG, but by the time we reach matric or we reach to college, the number gets reduced to much minimum. And there is always, have been efforts that we need to really take care of those candidates, those students, which drop out at the primary level, middle level, high school level, or even at graduate level and so on, and they don't really complete their studies the way they might have thought of. And that is where this new policy talks about that they will they will find measures to increase the number of students, which the gross enrollment ratio to higher education is around 26%. But if we look at what is the effect for 2035, it's around 50%, just nearly the double of that number. Because, for increasing this gross enrollment ratio, you have to have much of infrastructure, many more teachers, because it's just doubling. So you can imagine the kind of universities and colleges we have already in India. We need to double their number, or we have to double their enrollment. So there you need to have much more infrastructure. That takes a long time. And that is why perhaps they have pegged it at 2035, around 15 years from now. Now, to replace the rote learning, as I said earlier, in the system, now the student has really to have a practical applications. They need to have some skills. Rather than mugging up, they can have those daily life activities wherein they will be more interested, and that will be more useful to them, and that will really create or inculcate a kind of interest in their studies more, than what is going on now. And perhaps due to that, the dropout rate will also reduce. Now, another thing which comes our way in the present system is that we have either a student at +2 level has to find out whether he is to do BA or he has to do BCom or he has to do BSc or some other graduation. And he cannot change those graduation midway. Now the government has come out with a very good combination of subjects that a student can have any stream of subject combination. I think that's marvelous. That's a very good contribution from the new education policy. The student who suppose is doing BCom but has interest in music can always have music as a subject, and anyone having any interest in co-curricular activities or maybe extracurricular activities can carry on with those in his best way, and some of them may become a lifetime achievement and employment for such persons. So education, because when we say education mafia, I think we need to reduce the commercialization of that education, and it should become really a public service. Once it becomes a public service, I think it will add up. Definitely, there are chances of our increase in higher education gross enrollment ratio as well. Now, this policy envisions that we need to develop a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental right. These are the things which are very basic. I know when I was in a school, our books were having all these things. What are our rights? What are our duties? And what are the constitution values? But now this policy again reiterates that these, qualities need to be inculcated, and there has to be some kind of bonding with one's country through this kind of knowledge and awareness that what are my responsibilities in this country or in this changing scenario of education. Education system that contributes to an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. This is very, very important again, because we have disparity, and I will come towards the end that this disparity, though the policy talks about equitable and vibrant knowledge, still there are certain gaps which need to be plugged from time to time, wherein this equitable distribution or education can get disturbed. Then we need to have, through this new policy, it can instill skills and values that really help this responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, global well-being, and thereby reflecting that we are also a truly global citizen. Because when we talk of globalization, I think we need to be competitive globally as well. We, as I said, it has much of flexibility for the talent and interest of the students. There is no clear-cut or hard or very restricted separation between art and sciences or curricular and extracurricular activities, or between vocational and academic streams. So one can really choose and make that as a livelihood or for its growth. Any one of us can have any set of subjects which can be one can choose. So there is a much of flexibility, as also there is multidisciplinarities through this. And through this, when you have interest, your understanding is always better as far as different concepts are concerned. So from that angle, one can have more conceptual understanding and clarity. You will have more critical thinking, because if you have critical thinking and students get creative right from the school stage, I think they can become better decision maker, they can become better innovators, and they also can have better ethics, because once you have human values, that means ethics will come in that human values, and you have respect for constitution as well. Then a student will be showing cooperation, showing teamwork, communication, resilience to nonsense things, and there will be, in this new policy, there will be regular formative assessment for learning rather than assessment which is going on earlier, like coaching culture. It won't be there. It will be taken care of through formative assessment for learning. We need to respect the diversity and respect of for the local context, because wherever a student is at its native place, and whatever the curriculum and the kind of pedagogy one is using and the policy of education, all these things will create a respect for diversity, because there are different kind of people in our country, different kind of environments in our country, and all that diversity need to be maintained, because diversity is very useful, very, very enriching experience for all of us. So that diversity also need to be maintained as far as the curriculum of different areas, pedagogy, and various other things are concerned with education. Then we need to be having a clear, transparent education system. And as I said, education is a continuous evolving thing. And the policy making also needs to have being regular assessed. And definitely there can be some positive improvements from time to time. So hence it needs continuous, assessment and continuous kind of upcoming in various aspects of education. It need to address present and future challenges. It need to show that, well, we are one nation. That kind of, sense should be inculcated among our teachers, among our students and everyone. And that way they talk about one curriculum policy, maybe at the higher education level. And to really give a success to this policy, various kind of programs which are policies which government has already taken care of, like Digital India, Skill India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, etc. They may be helpful. They may go in line with these programs of new education policy to make it more successful. And as I said, conceptual understanding and unique capabilities, because one student can really recognize a problem. He can be identifying a particular topic, and he can really know what kind of skills he requires and what kind of skills he needs to have. And he must be have a kind of continuous review by subject expert, as I said earlier. And community participation has also been talked about, has been encouraged, that private institution and others, community participation need to be there, because they talk about either the autonomy of the college or institution, or it should be a kind of constituent college, because this affiliated colleges need to be put off by, say, in next 15 years or so. So they have to change their status either to autonomous college or to a constituent college, so that the government may not have to really pay more for you, but you can always collect that money or funds from private people and from community participation. Then technology also has been talked about in this policy to a larger extent, that we need to have this technology both in teaching and learning. And with that, there will be removing the language barriers. And for students which are young, that also need to be taken care of. We know there have been various special children which need education so that they can also grow and be successful in their life. And that's very important, that if there is proper technological improvements. And we have seen that this, as you said, this is 9th webinar in the series. There have been webinars going on by various institutions at the same time. And unless we are really trained in technology, perhaps this thing would not have been there. So though there is COVID, which is very deadly disease, but still it has opened doors of technology for us. And the new education policy talks about its further improvement and further use in number of key areas in education. Even the people need to train the students for meeting how we can meet the energy, how can we meet the water requirements or our sanitation, or how can we really take care of our increasing population. How, I mean, the new things which are coming in technology like big data, machine learning, artificial IA, as we say, artificial intelligence, because these kind of new skills, they can really take over many functions in a very fast way, and of course without any mistake. And I think we need to learn about these, especially the machine learning and this artificial intelligence and big data among the technological things. So another important ingredient of the policy is that education wants to move towards lesser content and more towards learning, so that you may have lesser as far as the syllabus is concerned, curriculum is concerned, but you need to learn and think critically so that you have more time to think about that, and you can solve the problem yourself. With that, you can become highly creative and you can become multidisciplinary as well, because you will be thinking a topic critically, will be really innovating on that, and then definitely once you have a kind of absorbing your this kind of knowledge, new knowledge, that will always be better. So pedagogy must evolve to make education more interesting, more experimental, more holistic, integrated, discovery-oriented, learner-centered, and discussion-based, flexible, and enjoyable above all. And it must also include basic arts, crafts, humanities, games, sports, fitness, language, literature, culture, and value. So new policy takes care of all these in their basket. It must build character, enable learners to be ethical, rational, compassionate, and caring. While at the same time, they must also prepare education policy. I mean, education must prepare the young generation for gainful, fulfilling employment where they can enjoy and do their work to their really interest. And then, of course, as I said, for highest quality education, we need to have equitable access, because all people which are in that kind of higher education enrolled, they may have some contribution to the overall social and economic package or scenario of our country. Now, starting with the first phase where we have school education, and even before school education, because right now every student takes around, by the age of 18, year one clears +2. This is the normal time span which a student spends. The government has also not increased the time span. They have kept the lifespan up to 18 years of age with nearly 15 years of instructions. And that, because earlier it was 3 years, but not for everyone. Some of the schools were having just 12 years to do +2. They were starting from 1 at the age of 6. But now the new policy talks about that, well, Anganwadi centers, which are there in most of the villages, that we need to strengthen those Anganwadi centers with, of course, quality infrastructure, and there should be some equipment for various playing activities of the young kids or very small kids, and they should be well trained. They workers, or we may call them as teachers for those students, because this stage will be from 3 to 6 years or 3 to 5, and this training of Anganwadi workers, teachers, that can also be taken up by the education department, so that our child right at the age of 3, when one goes to a playway center and is really guided by Anganwadi teacher, if she is or he is well trained, I think that can really do wonders, because everything, if it gets into, a seed is sown at a early stage in a student or in a person, I think that can always bring, or you are taken care of better. It will grow into a better plant and will give more fruits. And that is what I think new policies thinks of, that if we can have all the school children undergoing regular health checkup, they should have, proper health, and they should also have a proper environment around where they can play with freedom, where they can really discover the things for themselves, they can identify certain things, they can develop inherent skills and various kind of capabilities. So early childhood care and education becomes very, very important. And I think it's really a foundation for learning. This can also drop our, dropout rates and even universal access to education at all levels. So learning in school should be inclusive, enjoyable. I think it's very, very important that it should be engaging and enjoyable. And there should be effective governance, so that all those centers which are working as school complexes may be regularly checked, that the staff, the facilities of every kind, the health facility, everything is taken care of for those students. And we can always regulate and accredit for such school for their standards. So the National Mission on Foundational Literacy, they say that there is pattern, rather than, directly 12 years or 15 years of education. They now talk about 5 years in one cluster, 3 years, again 3 and 4. So formula now which is coming up for everyone, every school, is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. And this 5 can also be subdivided into 3 plus 2 further. So I'll come to that also. So we have Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas for a special category of students as well, and that can go up to grade 12. And again, as I said, reduction in curriculum in to core subjects, and of course vocational integration, which we are talking time and again about this policy. There is a vocational education, so they need that a child or a student from 6th onward must have some vocation of his interest or her interest. It also requires that those 5 years, as far as the age is concerned, 3 to 8 years, and as far as the education is concerned, it's for 5 years. So first 3 years, as we know, student normally goes through nursery, kindergarten, and then the preparatory. So all these 3 years are very, very important, and it is, and or the regional language, so that in your mother tongue, a child can learn the things easily. And here I want to tell you that I had read somewhere that when Maharaja Ranjit Singh's regime, kingdom, the women were having perhaps the maximum education. The literacy rate among women at that time was nearly 95% or more. And those women were acting as, now we talk about Anganwadi workers, those mothers or women at home were acting for those students up to the age of 8. They were teaching them at home, and they were making them learn their mother tongue, the regional language, and very basic things related to composition and writing sentence and writing other things. So students at that time, because that system of education was considered very, very, advanced, and it is due to English people which came later and spoiled that system and moved us to kind of English language only. That is why our villages, especially the rural students, are facing problems, and they don't end up anywhere really. So now that thing has been realized and we have come back to home language or mother tongue or regional language up to the grade 5, but it can go on up to grade 8, mean up to middle, you can go on with this language and you can have proper, information, proper knowledge about this. And National Assessment Center as PERC, they have also are there, and government is also planning to have setting libraries for students who have various kind of books in their near their schools or near their college or institution, and of course transparent online self-disclosure for public oversight and accountability. That is another important thing, that transparency and accountability are important things for them. 100% GER, gross enrollment ratio in preschool to secondary level has been planned. And it's also that nearly 2 crore school children have dropped out, and government wants that anyone who has dropped out earlier can come back and start their education from that level. So that may really help many of them to really come back and have their dream of education fulfilled from the level where they had left due to various reasons. And assessment of the teachers, where the government says we will have training of the teachers, B.Ed can be of 4 years, and it is likely that assessment reforms may start by 2023 or so, but that 4-year training will make eligible a teacher for education. So equitable education system government talks about by 2030. And board exams to test core subject and application of knowledge. There will be board exam. Every child will come out of school adapting at least one skill. I mean, that is where one has have choice which skill one wants to have. There will be common standards for private schools and public schools. As I said, presently we have preparatory schools in cities. They may not be so well in villages. And then those 3 years, you have nursery, kindergarten, and preparatory, and then there is schooling from 1 to 12. That is the normal system going on presently. But if we look into the transforming curricular and pedagogical structure, we find first 3 year in Anganwadi, next 2 year class 1 and 2, and then of course class up to 5th, 3 to 5, between the age of 8 to 12, then another 3 year to middle, and then 4 year where again you have 9th and 10th, you can exit at 10th class, then 11th and 12th, and you can have choices for a number of subjects during this 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th, and so that you can groom yourself to a stage wherever you want to go. So this is what has been shown in this slide as well. So 5 years, 4 to 8 years of age, I have discussed with you. And in that case, the student have just to play and learning. It's learning through the games, and then the nursery prepares the children for next education or formal education, and preparatory also prepare the student for class 1 and 2, enhance their language of their knowledge of language. Students can learn the basic math like tables, etc. during their classes from 2 to 5th, and then we also wish that this may reduce our dropout rate and bring the children to mainstream. So policy or aiming at 100% gross enrollment ratio, I think we need to have cooperation of everyone, really, that in next 10 years, whether we can have at school level the dropout rate to be nil and 100% population of children goes into school. And similarly for higher study, at least half of them, at least 50% of them. And there we have another 5 years, because they will take 5 more years to reach to that level of higher education. And those presently 26%. So all science, humanity, commerce, etc., exposure to flavor of all subjects will be there for the student to choose about. Classes 9 to 10, will be in semester system, and here the student can choose subject of his choice, as I said earlier, and it can also have exit at that level. Even foreign language can also be there for him. Then institutional restructuring and consolidation for holistic education, optimal learning environment and support for students, motivated, energized, and capable faculty. That is, even now it's important. Vocational education, professional education, promoting high quality research, that also is through National Research Foundation. Then effective governance and leadership, adult education, promotion of Indian languages, arts and culture, technology use and integration, apex advisory body for Indian education, and affordable. That is very, very important point. Affordable and quality education for all, because the government say they will be regulating the fee structure of the institution. They may be private or otherwise, but they will be regulating the fee structure so that there will be more of affordability by the students. And all colleges will have independent board of governors, and there will be single regulator education, excluding medical and legal education, and there will be transparent system. There won't be any inspections like currently it is happening, and they say kind of self-declaration system or self-disclosure transparent system may be there. We have to look into that, whether it comes out really nicely. If it comes out because our students and teachers become more ethical and our self-disclosure really become truthful, then this certainly these regulatory frameworks can help us. Now, if we look at the higher education, there have been number of changes. From CBCS, which we have now, there have been changes like there will be multidisciplinary education as we start from right from 8th onward. And there will be flexibility of subject that we also have talked about. It won't be like you have to choose BA, BCom or BSc at that level. No, you can try various subjects, can go to any channel, and you can have multiple entry and exit point. That I again feel it's a very, very important recommendation that a student can leave at first year, completing first year, can leave if he has to some job or some other more important thing to do at family level or otherwise, then he can again come back within a couple of years and can have again his studies starting from second year, can leave at second year, can come again, and similarly he can go on for 3 years to get a BSc or his bachelor degree, and can go on for 4 years to get a bachelor research degree where he will be eligible for doing research. So both ways, up to 3 years he can be there. That means graduation in 15 years, right? If one gets bachelor degree at 3 years, and if one gets at 4 years, he will have his MSc in 1 year. So both ways for doing post-graduation, the number of years have been kept same as are now, but there are changes that you can leave, you can again exit and again make an entry into education, so that for any reason, if you have to leave that education, you can come back, and hence there may be very little dropout rate in higher education. And we can say it's like currently 5-year bachelor and master degree program, which we have in many universities already going on. Another major thing which is that MPhil is to be discontinued. And I think most of the institution has already discontinued this MPhil. So there will be kind of academic bank of credits where the student will be in his account, there will be credit of the credits which he has earned in 1 year or second year, and as and when he comes, as and when he completes his credits in various subjects, he can get a degree. So higher education institution, they have to be either constituent colleges, or they have to be very teaching intensive university or research intensive universities, or they can be autonomous degree granting colleges. And higher education can have 1 year if you complete it, you can be eligible for a certificate. In 2 years, you can be eligible for a diploma. And for 3 years, you can be eligible for a degree for a job or competition. 4 years, you can go for it. National research will be there. There will be, traditional knowledge, Indian knowledge system need to be really covered. And it will include tribal knowledge, indigenous, traditional ways of learning, whichever our ancient knowledge is there, that also need to be looked into again in modern India, because that may have importance for our new system of education, and we may be able to use the old ancient system. Then states have to prepare their own curricula and textbook based on NCERT curriculum, so that they can add some state flavor and material as is required. Then there is a digital version on Diksha platform where affordable, high quality textbook will be there, and the student can make use of these textbooks. Then Indian Institute of Translation of ancient Indian knowledge and make available for the present students. Even promoting the traditional arts, the Lok Vidya, and things like that. Then curriculum content will be reduced, as I said earlier, in each subject to its core essential, to make space for critical thinking and making it more holistic, analysis based, and will be student by that will be given more flexibility. Sanskrit will be offered at all levels of school and higher education as an important and enriching option for students. And curricular and pedagogical initiatives will be there, because you have to have a new subject, contemporary subjects like design thinking, holistic health, organic living. All these will be offered to the students from time to time. And then, of course, basic training in hygiene, health or preventive health, mental health, nutrition, public hygiene, and first aid, etc. That also will be there, a part of the curriculum. And efforts will be made by various agencies like NCERT, SCERT, schools, educators, to reduce the weight of school bags. I think nowadays there have been some cartoons appearing. They make a donkey and show that, well, a student is like a donkey now. So that kind of things will also go off, and our student will have light bags to carry. And most of them, they will be getting in the libraries right there in the schools or in the higher institution. And with that, the money required for that will be enormous, as I said earlier, because we want to make changes right from infrastructure to the faculty to training and to so many things, and increasing the dropout rate or increasing the gross enrollment ratio. So from there, because presently we have nearly, as I said, around 3% of GDP, which is spent on education, of all kind of education, it will be, as the government says, will be increased to double that. That means nearly 6%. And if that amount of money can be pumped into education, I find that, well, there is every hope then that most of the things can be implemented. And government also says that we will limit the school fee. That's another positive thing, that, well, if the affordability will be there, will help. Then results will be as mark scored, self-assessment, friends assessment, teacher assessment. It's not that you will be appearing in examination and whatever you got will be your score. No, even you will have your own assessment that will be added. You will have, even your friends can or your classmates can give assessment about you. And of course, your teacher will also be giving his or her assessment about you. That will make your result. There is also introduction of nearly 50 foreign well-reputed universities. They will open their campuses in India, and it is speculated that they may provide tough competition to our institution, and they may competitively grow more. So there will be single, for the governance, there will be single Higher Education Commission of India, single umbrella body for entire higher education, excluding, as I said earlier, medical and legal education. And this will be working through 4 regulatory bodies. One is NHERC, it is National Higher Education Regulatory Council for regulation specifically. Then General Education Council it will be for standard setting. Third will be Higher Education Grant Council, which will provide funding. And then like the NAC, it will be National Accreditation Council NAC for accreditation of the higher institution. Now I'm coming to the drawbacks. That is why I have put it in red tone. If you really go through, we see that there is relatively lesser stress on English language. And I tell you, English language is also important for us because most of the literature now available to us is in English. And if one has to go abroad, I think knowledge of English language is important. Centralized bodies are there, as I told you just now, for most of the control, even finance, regulation, and everything. And I think, as I said earlier, there need to be diversity. Perhaps centralized body may not be then appropriate for maintaining that diversity. So we have to really be cautious about this. Then there is lesser emphasis on research, though we talk about research universities, but not many have been shown to be promising right now. Then there is a lack of peer-reviewed research funding, specific funding for research across various disciplines, because we have to have in science, social science, language, and everywhere, much money is required to really grow these subjects further. Then there should be department to frame, there are departments to frame syllabi, results, infrastructure, salary, and scholarship, etc. We have talked about this use of technology, and we want this technology should have access for disadvantaged groups as well. That technology you can use for education planning, teaching, learning, assessment, administration, management, self-disclosure, and even minimum human interface. All these things can be really can go on through use of technology. There can be virtual labs, there can be National Education Technology Forum, and we know we are digitally equipping schools, higher education, our teachers, and education. Now, these are the reforms, views of the Prime Minister I would like to share with you. In one of the meetings, he said that to tackle the brain drain, the best international campuses allowed in India. I have few reservation about that. When we say the 50 campuses will come, how will they really be adapting to kind of environment here and the language and all other things? I think that also we need to introspect on this point. There will be positivity among students to study here than going abroad. That is how our Prime Minister thinks. Very positive outlook that people who are students who are going abroad, spending a lot of money, and can study in the campuses which will be available here of those universities which perhaps students are preferring. And it will increase competition among our colleges and universities. And then child without back, board, examination, and pressure of study. At the very early stage, up to say 6 years, when he becomes eligible for first or second, during first 3 years, he will be without bag and it will be a play-based school. There will be better governance system as is speculated. Assess and assessment has been reformed to make it student self-reliant. Focus is on foundation learning. And I have earlier also stressed on this. Foundation learning is important in the mother tongue, which is very important, and trained teachers also is another view. So this policy, I find there are some positive, some negative features. Midday meals and breakfast to reduce dropouts have not been talked about much. Oh, there is scheme that just there will be breakfast and there, but I was just looking at that right now we have only midday meals and the kind of problems we are facing are enormous. So when we will start with breakfast also, and the number of students will increase, whether we will have that much of infrastructure or not. So we have to be very, very careful about that. But if it happens and we achieve, it's wonderful. To reduce burden of examination, yes, I fully agree with this. Some, experts, they say that this education policy is not a constitutional document, as there is no legal sanction for NEP. Hence, it is up to the government to implement fully or part of that or not at all. And I think I'm not fully expert about this kind of statement, but if they like this, some legal experts, I think we need to introspect on this as well. The role of states not clear through education. So education is a state subject as well. More towards privatization and commercialization, because we are talking about private schools and private government schools, and we are talking about institutions which are private and they will be considered similarly at same footing. Then again, the fears which are there with experts is that nothing concrete for marginal poor children. In terms of if they want to get better education, they may have to end up again public, not the public school, not really the private schools. Will it be feasible to have nursery, primary school in each village? Because we require a lot much of infrastructure. I know many of the villages still don't have, because I am a rural person, I know many of those, they do not have primary schools at all. And if they have, no proper building, or say, even for that matter, no proper toilets, basic facilities, they need to be really developed. There may be problem with single regulator for whole of the country, which is there for teacher education and training as well. And no strong push for public institution in India. And I am quoting the statement of Amartya Sen, who's a Nobel Prize winner and a great economist. It stands out as a country with ratio of private schooling much higher than most of the countries of the world. This is very, I should say, very important statement in the view that we have been put as a country where we have more of private schooling, and that indicates what? Commercialization. So it's bad for equitable education. Learning gaps among students in private institutions, charging higher and lesser fee will widen the learning disparity. And national policy is silent on this. It should have come up with more public schools in the policy. So if I look at the summary, finally, there is flexibility in subject choice for the students. There is nearly 2.72 lakh US dollar is our GDP now, and 6% of that will be a huge sum to be spent of education if it really materializes. Then common entrance test for all non-technical institution, multi-domain institution will be coming up. Examination will be free of rote learning. Multiple entry program with use of credit is another in another course as well. 4-year training for teachers, and in 10-year integration of schools and colleges as well. Vocational trades after 6, like carpentry, welding, mechanical job, etc. Then assessment by students and classmates. Encouraging centralization with no power for states in education. Practical implementation is a big challenge, and everyone among you must also be feeling. How to bridge the big gap for shortage of teachers, infrastructure at every level. And there is nearly 1 billion students in 3 to 15-year age group, and we need to have more schools and more huge funding for them. And we wish we get 100% GER from preschool to secondary education as well. So now the government has also come out with 60-point agenda for its implementation, and they will be starting right from this year with the entrance test, and from the year 2022 to 3, it will become more formalized, fully operational by 2030, 2040, and first starting with the undergraduate admission process through entrance by 21, 22, and then NTA to conduct all entrance for higher education, short listing of NTA CBSE, NCRT, and NIOS are already there for different duties, and a national book promotion policy is there for this libraries. And thank you very much for your very patient hearing. I think I have not taken more time of yours as it was 1 hour. I have perhaps taken just 1 hour only. So I'll be sharing with you after one of these about our university. Video.
Eternal University, a destination where career goals of poor students come true. Eternal University is one of the first private and residential universities in northern India, sponsored by Calcutta Trust and established by Himachal Pradesh Government, Act Number 3 of 2009, exclusively for girls students, providing the safest educational environment for academic and spiritual development of the students. Honorable Baba Iqbal Singh Ji, the former Director of Agriculture Department of Himachal Pradesh, is the President of Kalgidar Trust and Kalgidar Society, and also the Chancellor of Eternal University, Baru Sahib, and Akal University at Talwandi Sabu, Batinda, Punjab. He has also been honored with Lifetime Achievement Awards at both national and international levels. Dr. Harcharan Singh Dhaliwal, a world-renowned scientist of par excellence, is the present Vice Chancellor of this university.
And a real prayer for me to be associated with this university for the last 9 years. With the time blessing of His Holiness Baba Iqbal Singh. And this university is one of the safest academic institutions for the student. It has over a period of time has become tuition-free, tagging-free, and drug-free. All the infrastructures and this modern, full, comfortable living and academic pursuit by students, by faculty, by visitors, and it's one of the beautiful place for holistic development of the university. We are offering more than 65 academic programs in all sorts of disciplines in engineering, in agriculture, in food technology, in nursing, in public health, in basic sciences, education, and music, etc. So, again, I would request the parents, students, and all stakeholders of education to be in touch with us through our website and pay visits to Barusa to be associated with us in one or the other way in academic pursuits of rewards and be our ambassadors by spreading this message of universal brotherhood and eternal peace.
The Eternal University is situated 135 kilometers from Chandigarh and approximately 70 kilometers from Seoul, Baru Sahib, the Valley of Divine Peace, in the lap of Himalayan foothills. The university is located at a sprawling 8 lakh square feet campus with its 7 constituent colleges and accredited by NAAC and duly recognized by UGC, AICTE, INC, NCTE, DST, EBT, DSIR, and DRDO. Apart from an extraordinary academic curriculum and an inspiring educational environment, the university is offering some other facilities, such as hostels, experimental farms, polyhouses, cafeteria, transport facilities to and from the campus, banks, post office, playgrounds, indoor sports facilities, shopping complex, modern dairy complex, mobile facilities, botanical and herbal garden, shops, clubs, fully automated Wi-Fi library, well-equipped laboratories and computing facilities to look after the well-being of the students and the faculties. It has established core units of NCC and NSS for providing all-round training for their career development. Along with that, it also offers both indoor and outdoor sports facilities, gymnasium, and playgrounds. The Eternal University maintains active collaborations with both national and international universities to help students to reach sky-high limits. To attract and encourage the meritorious students, especially from the rural areas, they are given tuition fee concession from 10% to 30% based upon their marks obtained in the qualifying examination for various undergraduate programs. Decent fellowships are provided to the deserving PhD students for teaching at undergraduate level and conducting practical.
We are admitting 500 students annually, out of which 400 degrees earned by them annually, and more than 50% of them are getting placement in reputed public and government sector organizations. As far as the infrastructure is concerned, this university having a modern infrastructure to deliver education, research, and carry out the further degree programs for skill enhancement of the people of this now. Ratio of the students concerned here, the teacher talk ratio is 1:10. That is, we can protect the students more intensively, and likewise the human resources is of very high value. So in terms of the research projects also, the university is running now road projects in various areas.
Proud parents and the students are welcome to visit the campus for pursuing their career goals in the modern Gobindgarh for their value-based education and holistic development to serve the mankind with love and compassion.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for this concise overview. Ma'am Rupinder Kaur, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I'm
Yeah,
there.
Yes, kindly. There are some
Okay.
queries in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am, surely.
okay.
Yes, kindly.
So there are a few queries from our faculty and students.
Yes.
I'll be reading one
Yes,
by
yes.
one. First, we have query from
Okay.
one of our professors. He says, kindly clarify that who hold MPhil degree, will they get benefit in selection and other benefits in coming years if MPhil discontinues?
I think, to my mind, if they have already cleared their MPhil, because they are stopping the MPhil instruction now, the degree now, but those who have already achieved it and got their degrees, I think the kind of benefit they will be provided, because you can't really make a degree worthless with one stroke. You have to give them proper time of few years till the new system really get implemented. And I tell you, new system will take many years to get implemented properly. And they themselves say around 30, 40. So you can imagine 10 to 20 years. And by that time, anyone who's MPhil now, will be getting absorbed in couple of years or 4-5 years next. So there should be no worry for them, those who have already got their MPhil.
Okay, sir. So next question is from another professor, Professor Rajesh Kumar, and he says, how will changes at the undergraduate level affect enrollment in postgraduate courses?
Because in undergraduate, as is envisaged, that there will be freedom to the student at any level. They can go out, they can come back, because now it is like you have to complete your graduation within 5 years. And you can't, if you have some problem or at home or some anything happens, or you are going abroad for a year or two for something, you can't continue your study when you come back, because your 5 years is gone and you have to make a restart. So when you have that credit in the academic bank, credit bank, you can always utilize that for any course, as and when you find that, well, this course is of my interest, or I have taken some other training from abroad and I can do better in this. You can add up your credits into that, and ultimately they will look into the total credits earned for your bachelor, whichever is required. So definitely that will help our higher education.
Okay, sir. So one of our student is asking question. In rural areas, majority of girls are not sent to schools by their parents. Do you think they will be able to send their daughters for practical study and internships? Won't it be a demerit for rural area girls?
See, it's now not, we have to come out of that kind of prevalence which is already there, and there are reasons for that also. They have, I mean, some people have a kind of issue of security, which is really some incident happens and all families, they get into a kind of fear, and they're afraid that their girls or their daughters or sisters may not be sent elsewhere. That to me also seems a little challenging point in this policy, that nowhere they say there will be a kind of university, multi-disciplined university, or this at least one in one district. And if you look at their earlier agenda, which was released during 2018 and 19, which we have read, they were saying that, okay, many of the colleges, out of the 14,000 colleges, we will have just about 1,000 colleges, rest will be going off. If that happens, this problem which this girl has questioned, I think that becomes more relevant. It should be a college near your area, wherein the kind of this internship and kind of practical study should be either in the college or the internship, because they also talk about such internships, because you have skills like something to do with rural education or rural development or sanitation. You can have that internship in your village itself. So it's not imperative for everyone. But definitely, we need to look into some institution coming near the students' village or town, so that they may not have to travel. Because in policy, this is also said that the students will be provided free travel. I wonder, because right now the number of students, you can imagine the half of the enrollment ratio, and we don't have transport to transfer, put those students into male or female, anyone. There are really very difficult times for the girl students, especially in the morning, in the evening, to catch a bus and go back to their villages. And her concern, I would say, the government needs to look into that concern and take appropriate steps for their security. And because all students can't be there in the hostels, secure hostels, and they have to spend more for that. And every family can't be there, because that is where I said equitable for every kind of people in this country. And when we say equitable, that means the kind of financial support these students want. If they don't have, that for the rural people don't have that kind of awakening, then there should be consultant counselor for them, and the student can be helped financially to reach a particular hostel where it is secure for them, and parents should get convinced before sending but otherwise, if they don't take care of financial support, I think many of the girls may be devoid of this education, and this policy may not be coming out in the true sense then.
Okay, sir. So
Yes,
there's one more question from one of our professors. He says, how would a student or teacher cope up with the emotional level of a student supposedly resuming a course after a sabbatical of, say, 2 years?
Well, that's again very, very important point which came to my mind also, that how practically it will be, because the things are changing, and specifically in science subjects and even in art and humanities, some of the things remain the same, but many new things come through that level. And if a student is coming out and coming after 5 years and again joining back, what kind of support or learning he will really add up to that? Though the speculation shown in the policy is looks very encouraging, but yes, the concern of the teacher or whosoever has asked, I think it's very, very appropriate, because even now, if you are on a leave for 1 month and join back, you face problems in that. And saying that credit and then adding credit to another, ultimately where will the specialization will be when you have to excel somewhere? Because unless that system starts and we get the drawbacks right on the ground, I think it's very difficult to speculate right now. But yes, I too look forward that there can be problems. So it's a highly recommended point that, well, people will get chance to come back. Yes, they will get a chance to come back because they have done diploma or say certificate course, and then they will be coming to diploma, and then there will be 3-year bachelor degree, and then of course, if you want to go research, then 4 years. So there are something which is somehow made that those teachers which are not to do research or student may not have to go for 4 years, but the kind of freedom given at that level, I think there should be some kind of rules that should govern that kind of gap, and again kind of preparation joining again back, some internship kind of thing for joining back.
Okay,
but his fear is well taken.
Okay, sir. So there's another question from a student. She says, apart from education, what I believe sports and other physical activities are not at all taken in concern for graduate, postgraduate, and school students. Hence, we in Punjab are lacking in sports at national and international level. What are your views about this?
No, they also talk about sports, no doubt in that. Sports as co-curricular activity is very much there, because when they say co-curricular and extracurricular activities may be merged, we know co-curricular activities normally have sports and has quizzes, have declamation, debates, every kind of thing is there in co-curricular. And extracurricular also are there where you have bhangra, gidda, all that other performing things. So they are going to merge both these together. And I think with that, definitely when we talk of holistic development, sports has to be a part of that. And it is there, though they have not written directly as sports, it's co-curricular and extracurricular activities.
Okay. So
which includes sports.
Okay. So there's one more question. A student says national education policy is excellent. It will increase the skills and knowledge of the students. But don't you think that it may cause more brain drain if the government may or may not be able to provide more job opportunities in contrast to huge number of population?
Exactly. I mean, even when they say we will stop the brain drain having 50 universities, I wonder those universities coming and opening their campuses here, what will be the fate of our university? Though they say they will compete, I think their competition can only be if they are provided proper grants, proper finance. Otherwise, I know. So
Sorry, sorry for the
no
interruption.
problem, no problem. It goes on because the mic is on, so everything
Yes, sir.
comes on that. No problem. So definitely it can. But those who are going just for education abroad, they may not go. But those who will be qualified, if we can't have, I mean, only education can't help us to retain our people here. You have to provide them equitable jobs, equitable employment of their qualification, which is there abroad. And everyone should have one or the other kind of engagement to have their livelihood. That is very, very important. But of course, nowhere it has been talked about. That's a flaw in the policy.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Sir,
there was
on the
one more-
other side, there is one nation, one curriculum view, and don't you think it is threat to the diversity? Like
That's what
people may
I told right in my lecture, that one side government say there should be diversity should be maintained. Another side, all the regulating and examining agencies are central. So, and moreover, people say it's a state subject as well. And states have not been given that kind of, control, and that may not really materialize. And even some people feel that with the national test, a person who joins, for example, wants to join Punjab University, he may not qualify there. His name may not come, and other people from other places come and join. So he may not get even institution of his choice in his area. That may also be a fear which some of the people have already really come up with. So yes, that's why I said some of the drawbacks I have listed. There are many, and everyone, because some psychologists have come up with many drawbacks as well on the psychology of students, how they will come or behave with the new system as far as after 5th or after 8th. Because if you have open all the subjects, I know the rural people don't know what subject combination is to be taken for which will be better for the student. Even some of the students may not be knowing what kind of interest they have. They may not able to identify themselves. There has to be proper counselor who can really help them, and then that thing can become little more fruitful. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. And regarding the governance reform also, there was a recent letter from UGC that to take actions at higher education institute to take various governance reforms. So what kind of that is needed at our college level?
I think this is a kind of pressure tactic, so to say. Let me be frank, because university has also got it, you also have got it, and all the education institutions have got it. They themselves have shown in their policy that, well, just informally, we will start with NTA, that entrance test in 2021, and it will be formalized in 2022. The test which they are going to do it. The only thing which you can do at your college level right now is that the kind of admission which you might have planned for 21 and 22, and there is option also whether you want to participate in that entrance or not. So it is up to your management and your thinking. If you are getting your admission fulfilled as such, no problem. And if there is any gap, then you can always go in for that entrance test. You may get people from other areas as well. But other than that, I don't think you can have more things to do right at present. Because there is no anything which you can start at your college. It has to come from the university, because you are governed by the university.
Yes.
And I think first the university has to change, and the colleges, because there are 15 years for the college, affiliated college to go off from the university as a constituent or autonomous. So as and when you turn autonomous, then perhaps, because even the teachers which they talk about, 4-year B.Ed course or training, 4 year, they will start not now, but it will take some time, and then those teachers will be available much later. So that again, college can't help in that. Already 2-year B.Ed are going on different colleges, and that is going on till a new policy. And then I also have pointed out that some experts say it's not a legal document for the government, that government is compelled to do it. They may or they may not do it, and they have already put this figure at 2035 or 2030, 2040. So things like that, they have taken ample time. And I don't think you can change any specific thing in your curricula or anything related to your admissions unless you become a part of that national test to be conducted by NTA. I don't find any other immediate point which a college can really implement.
These things are student centric most of the time. As things are student centric, but the trained teacher are not there to deal with that.
No, I say trained teacher will not be available at least for another 4-5 years, at least. Because when you say 4-year training, then they will be becoming the teachers eligible as per NEP. So that means 4-year program, they have just to open new such institutions where they will be trained. It's not sudden, and the kind of faculty which they have to plan, the curriculum for them, the kind of activities for them, kind of basic entrance for them, and then who gets successful after their kind of internship, they will be eligible to be taken. And let's see what they say after 4 years, they will be eligible for college, university or school or where. That's not clear really.
So there's one more question from one of our professors. She asked, if the students of government schools will be taught English at a very later stage, don't you think it will widen the gap between different sections of society?
Yes, I have. That is why I gave you the statement, Amritya Sen. He says in the policy we should have, put money or at least our planning that, okay, right now we have nearly 48% or 50% private schools and nearly 48 or 50% other half as public school, government schools. And we need to increase that number because right now the image of government school is that those who are poor people, they only are coming and all other elite classes going to private schools. And then among the private schools also you have different fee structure. If you talk of DPS or RAN public or like that, they have fees which is, more than 1 lakh right in the beginning for a nursery or a student. And I don't think every family can really cope up. One has 2 or 3 children to send to school. And for that matter, the gap of such private school versus other private school, which is charging lesser fee, will be different. And that disparity starts even between the private schools, what to talk of government schools. Government schools already are in bad shape and no government is really taking care of them. There is no proper building, there is no proper, most of the school, no proper staff. And that's a problem already is there. And I think unless you specify in the policy about development, providing infrastructure to the existing schools and opening up of new schools, the English may not come to them up to 8th class. She's right in showing her concern. Because policy is quite on that.
So there's one more last question, I suppose. The student is asking that nowadays we don't really know that a student is not really knowing what goals are there in their life or what are they doing, why are they choosing a particular course for. Because after so many years, they are having improper knowledge. And in fact, don't you think there are too many choices? The opening of too many choices would render students indecisive, or they could make some wrong decisions in life?
See, there are two things about her concern. One is that till say about 12 years, we may not be able to get the kind of students for this open choice which the policy is talking about. Because if they will have kind of facilities, right, playway school at every village level, Anganwadi level, and the students can have, a free playway school and learning and creative and innovative, then the teacher up to the stage of 8 can know what kind of interest a student have. But we are not going to get such a student at least for next 12 years. So choice for the present student definitely is difficult, but I don't think that the colleges will come up with all kind of combination in the immediate future. You won't be able to get so many teachers because we already have a limited kind of setup. Well, how many students we have, and accordingly we look into the syllabus and teach the teachers. But definitely, unless there are specific counselors from 8th onward, guiding you at 8th level, at 10th level, and 12th level, and really knowing you psychologically what kind of ability you have, and they can only tell you what kind of subject you should choose. Otherwise, leaving it to the students, it will be difficult.
So there's one last question. This is from my side.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, sir. Like national education policy is promoting multilingualism in both schools and higher education, for which we have heard that many translation and interpretation centers would be set up. So at one point, it seems good for the promotion of our own language, right? But how would it help the students on the international platform? Because we are preparing the students at the for the global competition. We are getting them ready for global competition. Kindly comment on it, please.
yes. That is why if you have seen few of my last slides, which I have put in red, that English has been put as to the much lower place than now. And in its place, talking about ancient India, we talk of other languages, and we talk about, of course, when they say foreign language, English will become a foreign language for them. For the students, which they can start from after 5th or after 6th. But definitely up to 5 years, I am in favor of having mother tongue, no problem. But after 5, because even we had, when I was student, we had started with the 3 language formula, starting with Punjabi. Then at 3rd, we learned Hindi. And then 6th, we learned English. And I think by the time we did our 10th, there was no much problem for us to talk in English or talk to, or I mean, depending upon write in English or show ourselves in English. But definitely, the kind of teachers which we have in school, they have to be very, very dedicated for that. Otherwise, overall, that definitely, because the government wants that the young generation may not go abroad and they should work here for the development of India. And perhaps that may be one reason they have not come up with more of English and more of the things which are there within the country. But definitely, you can always have English as a subject, and it depends upon you, because most of the rural people I have seen, they are problem. Their major problem is English in right starting from 5th onward, and even in BA and MA have seen. And because of this rural English schools, even our students have not learned the Punjabi language also. I know people coming for PhD in Punjabi can't write an application in Punjabi correctly. So that is their concern is well taken. I mean, that is there, very much there. Your feeling is perfect.
Thank you so much, sir. Anybody would else would like to come up with a query, or we should conclude? Ma'am, principal, with your due permission, should I?
Yes, kindly conclude. We have taken too much time from sir. It's almost 2 hours. He has spared.
So it's an absolute honor to have you on board, sir. And we, on behalf of Gobindgarh Public College, we extend our, in fact, we are beholden and extend our gratitude to you to have learned from your intellectual ruminations. And we look forward to many more intellectual, interactions in future as well. And we also thank you to extol time from your busy schedule. And thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate
Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rupita.
Thank you, sir. Your university is very nice, and we have taken virtual tour. All the best.
You are welcome sometime. I mean, once the corona, that fear is off,
Yes, yes.
you can bring
Yes.
your tour and be here for a day. You will like it.
We would love to. Thank you. All the best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.